Hey there, and welcome to the first official Homestead Knitting podcast. So my name's Danielle, and I am the maker and designer behind Homestead Knitting. So you can find me under that username on Ravelry, Ravelry, and Instagram. So I thought it'd be really fun to make my own knitting podcast and show you what I'm knitting and what I'm crocheting and just talk about all the yarn things. I'm super bad at uploading on Instagram, so I thought this might be a slightly easier way for me to kind of show off what I'm doing. So I do have some tea on the side. I have peppermint and my cute little Christmas themed pug mug. The lights light up when he's all warm inside, so I love it. So since it's the first podcast, I don't have any progress per se to show you, but I can show you what I'm working on. I have a bunch of whips because I've been casting on a lot of things, and I need to finish some projects. So, for the first one, I have cast on the Musselburgh hat by Yolanda, I think it is. I can't remember the designer's name, but I will have her link down below in the description box if you're curious in making your own. So this hat was really fun. You start at the center, and here, can't tell, I don't know if you can tell, but you have these 4 points, and what you do is you increase similar to what you would on like raglan sleeves, and you're going to increase till you get to your number of stitches you want. Then you knit in the round and stockinette, and then when you get to the other end you're going to do decreases so it looks very similar to your increase side. You're going to make a tube and you're going to fold it up into itself, and you'll make your hat so it's double knit. I thought it was really interesting, so I've never knit a hat or anything yet actually with this sort of like pinhole cast on or like the magic loop if you crochet. So this is the first time doing it. It was actually really easy for me to get the cast on, but then I really struggled with knitting such a small area with such little stitches. So this hat's really cool. So I'm knitting the adult large. It's graded for a bunch of different sizes, and it's also graded for a bunch of different tensions. So you can have any gauge and still be able to knit this hat, and I really like that idea. So I'm knitting mine on 4mm needles, and the yarn I am using is Knit Picks Palette, which is a fingering weight yarn. I got this from Knit Picks, and I'm using the color Autumn Heather. You get 231 yards per ball, so it's actually really pretty, and this is 100% Peruvian wool. So a little bit about this yarn. I think it's about $4 US a ball, so I live in Canada, so it was only about like $5 a ball, $5.50, something like that. So I can knit a whole hat for my boyfriend for about $10. So I'm very excited that I will be able to make him a really nice affordable hat, and he's gonna love it for the winter because he has a bunch of knit hats already, but all of them are like worsted or bulky weight, so they're a little bit too warm for like the transition weather. So I'm hoping this fingering weight hat will do the trick. So anyways, here's what it looks like, and the yarn is so beautiful with the coppers and the reds. I absolutely love it. If you were to see it on the website though, it does not look nearly as pretty as it does in person. So just a heads up, if you like the colorway, this is what it'll look like, not what it shows you on the website for Knit Picks. Okay, so for my next knitting project, I'm knitting socks, and I'm doing something a little bit different than I would usually do. I'm knitting my socks 2 at a time. So this is something I've yet to accomplish, mainly because I didn't have a big enough cord, because I tend to knit most of my socks magic loop. I've tried double pointed needles and I don't really like them very much, and I do have one set of like small circulars, the 9-inch ones, but they just cramp my hands up a lot and I can't knit for nearly as long compared to when I knit magic loop. So I'm using a 60-inch cord. I know it's a little excessive, and I'm using some 3mm needles. This is the size I tend to knit my socks on, and I've cast on 52 stitches. I've done 10 rounds for the cuff. I've knit in some waist yarn on the back here for an afterthought heel, and then I've knit 20 some rounds for each foot. So I need to knit 45 rounds for the foot of the sock. These will actually be for my mom for her birthday, so if she's watching, hi mom, these are your birthday gift. So I'll knit 45 rounds for the foot, and then I'll do the toes and then the heels after. And the heels and the toes I'm planning on doing in the same color as the cuff. And this yarn that for the cuff is from Knitology, and it's Ain't No Sunshine. So it is a 80% superwash merino and a 20% nylon. It's a 2-ply, and you get approximately 400 yards per skein. So this is what it looks like. Oops. So Knitology was actually dyed by Knit Crate a long time ago. Unfortunately, they do not dye anymore. I think I got this yarn about 6 years ago. If you would like to see it knit up in a full sock, you can find 2 different pairs of socks. I've used it on my Instagram if you want to see pictures. And I am just knitting them in 2x2 rib for my mom because she really likes the store-bought socks that have the ribbing in the middle of the foot and kind of hug your foot. So I figured I'll just knit them all in rib. They're quite relaxing and enjoyable, and I'm really liking knitting them 2 at a time. And I don't know why I've never knit socks like this before. It is going so quick, and it's so nice to know they're both going to be done at the same time, so I'm very excited. And then the other yarn I'm using, so this hot pink yarn, is from Knit Picks, and it's Knit Picks Stroll in the colorway Pucker. And Stroll comes in yards, 231 yards per ball, and it is a 75% superwash merino wool and a 25% nylon. Okay, so the next project I have is a crochet project, and this one will actually be for my dog. I am crocheting with a 3.5mm hook, and the brands of hooks I really love is, these are from, I buy them at Walmart, and they're the brand Love Knitting. They're very similar in look to the Clover hooks that everybody's obsessed with. So it has the rubber grip on the handle. It does have the size engraved in the rubber on the side, so if the paint rubs off, you know what size it is. They're very comfortable to hold in my hand, and they just make crocheting much more comfortable compared to the boil hooks, which kind of cramp my hands after a while. So what I'm making for my dog is a crochet ribbed dog sweater. So I've done a bunch of measurements, and I've started at the middle of his back, and I'm going to crochet all the way around till I get to the armhole. I'm gonna chain when I get to the arm. I'm gonna crochet across the front. I'm gonna do another chain for the armhole, and then I'm gonna go to the back again, and I'm gonna have buttons on the back for a little button band so I can button him in and out of his coat, because he does have a coat already, but it's not warm enough for the winter. My dog doesn't have like a lot of fur on his body, and our winters are very long and they're very cold. So I think last year the coldest it got was like -40 Celsius, something like that. It was pretty cold. It was a long winter. So I'm hoping by making him his own little doggy coat, or like doggy sweater, it'll help keep him warm this winter, so when we take him out he'll be okay. And I am again using palette in the fingering weight, and I'm using the color Douglas Fir. I really love this color, and I'm so excited to see this finished. I also want to point out that this is my first crocheted fingering weight project, and it is going so quick, and I am loving it so much, and I don't know why it took me so long to go to like the thinner weights. For a long time I didn't use DK, I didn't use fingering, I just used worsted weight or bulky. But yeah, I really love how quick it's working up, and it's light, it has a little bit of stretch to it, and it's really nice. So yeah, this is going to be my crochet dog sweater. And the next project I have on the go is my dream crochet sweater. So I've been dreaming this up for about a year now or more, and I finally have decided on what I'm going to do. So I'm crocheting this with a 4.5mm hook. Again, the brand is Love Knitting, and I buy these at Walmart, about $4 a hook. So here's what I have so far for my sweater. I'm gonna have the body all made in one piece, and then I'm going to separate the front and the back once it's long enough. And I think I want to do like the X twist in the front, like those headbands that everybody loves making. And then for the sleeves, I want to do it in the pink yarn all the way down. And then when I get to just before the cuff, I want to add in the cream with like the lacy stitch. And then I want to add cream ribbing on both of the cuffs, and then also all the way around the sweater. And I think it's going to look really, really cute. So the yarn I'm using for this sweater is Snuggly Wuggly by Loops and Threads, and it is a light number 3 weight. And I'm using the color cream. Oops. Here's what it looks like. So you get 446 yards per ball. And then the pink yarn I'm using is by Zeman, and it's Diana, the color 95. And this is 80% acrylic and 20% wool, so you can see all the colors that it'll fade into on the front here. And you get 285 meters per ball. And I got this yarn in a mystery box for Mary Maxime quite a while ago, like probably a couple years ago at least. And I just didn't end up getting around to using it, but I'm finally going to use it now, and I love the way it's working up. It's a very soft plush yarn. I actually wouldn't know that it's mainly acrylic because it does feel so soft. It's definitely like a soft wool, like you can't really feel like that scratchy woolness in some like the cheaper wool, so I really, really like it. And if I had the option to buy it again, I would totally buy it again. And now we're going to move on to my future knitting projects. So my first future knitting project is knitting the second sock for this. So this sock was knit with a strong heel or a gusset heel. I knit it cuff down, magic loop with 3mm needles. And the yarn I used for this was, so this dark blue color is Stroll in the colorway Navy. And I really, really love Stroll, so it's probably my favorite affordable sock weight yarn. Or sock yarn, I should say. So here's what it looks like. And then the main color for my sock, I used Red Heart, Heart and Soul in the colorway Skyscraper. And this sock yarn is 73% wool, 27% nylon. So I still have a bunch of it left. And you get 187 yards per ball, so it's not bad. One thing I will say is the sock yarn is actually pretty soft for being just a regular wool yarn, not like a superwash or anything. It's actually really soft. It also comes with a center pull, which I really enjoy, so I really liked that. And then I knit the sock on 64 stitches, and then you can tell where I started to increase for my gusset. It definitely looks different with how the yarn was starting to pool, but I think it looks really, really great. So I'm hoping to finish this in time for my dad's birthday because he will be getting this pair of socks, and I just did a wedge toe. Yeah, so I really liked the sock pair. I would highly recommend Red Heart, Heart and Soul for socks as well. I like it more than Patron's Crochet for like affordable sock yarn, but Stroll is still number one. The next project I have planned for my knitting is more socks, of course. I love to knit socks. So for the main body of my socks, I'm going to knit Patron's Crochet sock yarn in the colorway Gray Marl. And then I'm going to do contrasting heel, toe, and cuff in Stroll Fingering Weight Ash. So I think those will look really, really gorgeous together. And I'm going to make these probably a ribbed sock or some sort of patterned sock. And then I'm planning on knitting a sweater for myself as well. And I have 8 balls of palette in the colorway Current. It's really similar to the color I'm wearing on my shirt. And I'm really undecided about the pattern. So I'm thinking something either as the Flax Light sweater, or maybe like the Very V-neck Raglan by Jessie May, or the ballerina wrap top by 2 of Wands. So if you have any fingering weight pattern recommendations, do you want to just leave them in the comments down below for me? I would really appreciate just something simple and still like cozy and classic. And last but not least for my future knitting projects is kind of a big one. So in the yarn community, advent calendars are a really big thing. I have also seen the 24 striped advent skein from the Cozy Knitter, and that is, as far as I know, it's a sock weight 400 gram skein that you get, and it comes with 24 stripes, so you knit a stripe a day for the advent season, and by the time Christmas comes you have a pair of socks that are striped. If you want to check out more about that, you can check it out on YouTube or go to the Cozy Knitter on our Instagram page and check her out. However, I decided to do something a little bit different for the advent season, and I decided to pick a pattern and pick yarn, and I decided I was going to knit the Stephen West Slip Extravaganza blanket, I think it's called. And I am going to be knitting it with Wool of the Andes Sport Weight. So I've never used this yarn before, however I've heard really great things about it, so I'm very excited to try it out. And this is 100% Peruvian Highlands wool, just like Palette. However, it does feel much more woolly than Palette does, but not in a bad way. Like, it's still very soft, it's still very cozy and very squishy. And I have the color Oyster Heather for my main color. And then for my contrast colors, I want to use Holly Berry, Chestnut, and Pumpkin. So again, that's what I'm going to use as my advent knitting. And I'm super excited to just have the advent season come, and I want to just finish off all the projects I can and just sit down and really just enjoy making the blanket and just enjoy everything about the knitting. So I'm very excited for that, and I cannot wait to finish. So yeah, that'll be that for my knitting podcast. If you want to know any more information about any of the projects I talked about, or any of the yarn, or anything about my needles or my hooks, please feel free to leave me a comment down below, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. Thanks for watching.